G'day and welcome back to another not-so-weekly news on RC Model Reviews, and it's another one for another month. Should call them the not-so-monthly reviews, but never mind. Anyway, what am I talking about today? Well, the first thing that's pretty obvious is I can't do much in the way of flight test right now. The weather is crap. It's utter crap here. It's winter. If you're not watching my XJet channel, then you should, because you'd see that we're flying in gale force winds, freezing cold, and sometimes heavy rain. It makes it very difficult to review things that fly because they're not ideal flying conditions. In fact, the airfield here has been more of a lake. It's like a lake. There's big puddles of water and there's waves on them and the wind's blowing a gale. So it's not a very good time to test fly a model and try and judge its flight characteristics when it's likely to get dashed to the ground by a sudden gust of wind. But that's the cards we're dealt, so I've got to deal with them. That's what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do, there'll be more inside stuff, more bench stuff. And one thing that I promised some time ago, and I've done a hell of a lot of work on, and I should start rolling out the videos next week, is the ham radio series, the basic electronics series, because I know a lot of people out there are using FPV frequencies, and in some countries it's illegal to use them without a ham ticket, or some are legal, but if you want to use other frequencies, you've got to have your ham ticket. Things like 1.3 gigahertz video usually requires you to have a ham radio license. So I'm going to be doing that series. It's going to be, although it's targeted with stuff that'll make it easier for you to get your ham license, it's also a general introduction to electronics and the technology we're using in our models these days. So I'm going to be looking at the basics of electricity, voltage, resistance, current, and I've already covered that with my Ohm's law video, but I'm going to go over it again because it was a real challenge to make these videos small enough to be able to be watched without your eyes glazing over, with enough information to give you what you need to know without overload, and keeping it technical enough that you can get your ham ticket, but without so technical that people don't understand it. What a lot of compromises had to be made, so I hope I've got it right. And as I say, the first ones will be going up next week, and there's probably going to be, maybe 6 or 7 of these videos in order that they kept short enough and specific enough. As I say, looking at basic electricity, then we're going to look at things like electronic components, resistors, capacitors, inductors, semiconductors, all that sort of stuff. And then we'll look at other stuff. We'll look at magnetism and the way magnetism and electricity are related, because that relationship enables us to use radio control, which is really important. Look at the way radio waves propagate, which means how they travel through space. So we're looking at antennas and atmospheric conditions, all those things. And these are things you need for your ham ticket, but they're really useful to know when you're flying model aircraft, because it explains why a lot of things work and why a lot of things don't work. So this is quite a convoluted series. I'll do it now in the winter while my flying opportunities are limited by the weather. Get it out of the way for our spring, get back into the flying. And speaking of flight tests, yes, fixed wing is high on my priority list. I know a lot of people have been saying, enough with the rotary wing stuff, enough with the mini quads and that stuff. And I agree with you totally. I mean, I've just spent weeks building a whole lot of mini quads, and I'm really mini quadded out at the moment, but hey, that's what I've got here, that's what I've got to review. And you can kind of fly mini quads in strong winds, whereas fixed wing, not so much. You get yourself a nice light foam, you take it out there in a gale, and all you're going to prove is that the wind is really strong and that even foam will break if you provoke it enough. So I've got to organise those fixed wing reviews for slightly better conditions. But that brings me to the point, what fixed wing models do you want reviewed? I've looked around and there's been really nothing that's sort of spun my wheels, got my juices flowing recently. Every now and then you see some good stuff come out and you think, oh, that's good. And there's been some real great models that I've reviewed. We had the FMS Super Easy, the Tundra, and originally the AXN. These are really iconic models that really do a great job, but what else is there? I mean, recently, I haven't seen a hell of a lot. I saw a Catalina, but that's not much use to people flying from grass fields. I see that FMS have got that little, like that dusty out of planes, the little Cessna low wing with the wing struts. And I mean, I've seen people review that and it flies okay, but like that, maybe it spins your wheels. Maybe there's hundreds of you who want to see that reviewed. If so, let me know. I'll get one in. I'll review it as soon as the weather's calmer. And so yeah, you've got to lead me on this. Now, if you want to see a product reviewed on this channel, there are 2 ways to go about it. The first way is to contact the manufacturer or the company that sells them and say, hey, we'd like to buy one of these, but first we'd like you to have it reviewed by RC Model Reviews, in which case they'll contact me, we'll work it out, we'll get one, we'll test it, you'll be able to see whether it's really worth spending your money on. The second way is to contact me, and if a whole lot of people contact me and say, we want to see this reviewed, then I dip into my purse, buy one, review it, then you know, okay? So you can go either way. We'll find out either way which way. If you want something reviewed, then let the company know, let me know. We'll get it reviewed, trust me. Right. So that's about it, really. Not much else to talk about today. And it's coming to the end of the month. It's freezing cold. It's Sunday afternoon, and I'm not happy in the cold out here because I'm old and frail. It's terrible when you get old. You really notice the cold. I see now why old people retire to warm places like Florida and wherever, because you just don't stay warm in the cold weather. Right, that's it. I've got plenty to be getting back on with, and so thank you for watching. It's time for me to get back to the bench. Bye for now.